Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 1509, otherwise known as 2509. And in this one we have Season 2 with a new map. We're back to the 2023 objective cadence with an 8-minute grub timer, a 15-minute herald timer, and well, there's nothing else you need to worry about until Atacan. So, what does this mean for the best junglers overall, for low and high? We will cover that all in this video. And don't forget, if you need all the best jungle fundamentals for Season 2, you absolutely must head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching classes, a jungle VOD library. We already have a lot of community VOD reviews and coaching classes for Season 15, sharing all the tips and tricks to reach new peaks in this season. All the fundamentals you need for right now are available in a ridiculous amount of hours for content tailored for your MMR so you can climb to reach your peak rank as fast as possible. So to hit your peak rank in Season 15 and jungle diff every game you play, head to the link in the description below or to Virkayu.gg. Right, on the S tier page, the best jungler in the game remains Nefiri because once more a rework that was weird and they aren't quite sure how to fix it because despite the big nerf to cooldown on her W, my friends, through runes and itemization, especially that fighter itemization, that goes down to 13 seconds rank 1 pretty quickly. Overall, the champion just has way too many issues in this particular rework for them to balance it either as a bruiser or assassin. That being said, with the cooldown nerfs to her, you're obviously going to see that bruiser build go down a little bit, not by much though, and it's still super strong. However, because she is still a quote-unquote an assassin, building Eclipse and Lethality is showing her damage is quite amazing. So obviously you lose the cooldown decision, but you're all in kind of monstrous. Overall, I think they need to make a decision in whether they want it to be a jungler or a mid laner especially, and which kind of build paths are they going to focus on, because it's not just a cooldown thing. It's that she does enough damage and has insane rotations with the cooldowns, and she cannot be killed. Whereas if she's going to do damage like she can do with the build, you've got to make sure that there's trade-off there in terms of her being squishy. It's great to have her in the jungle. She's the best jungler in the game. She's free LP if you want it. Make sure you're banning it if you're facing it. Otherwise, let's see what they bring next patch to bring her back in line, because once they balance her, a great jungler to have in the rotation. Next up we have Lilia, and I know a lot of people soured a bit on her and are putting her lower in their lists. You know, that original buff, even if it's been compensated since then, is just so damn good. The champion really provides everything you need in the modern jungle, and now remember, we have only one grub pit. And while you might think, oh look, a farmer, someone that plays around 6, they're gonna suffer, right? Because there's less things to do between, 6 minutes and 8 minutes. If you lose that first dragon around that time frame between 5 and 6, you ain't got nothing to do until then. And if you aren't in control of the dragon and can't snack it up, there's not like a second grub pit you can trade for later on either. I don't like the change necessarily, but I understand it, and I did enjoy jungling back in 2022 the most when we had these two objectives. So to bring that back to Lilia, what that means is, my friends, is you can keep sequencing, playing for your 6, decide which battles you want to take over which objectives, but if you can have a nice high-level skirmish at the 8-minute grubs, you should be able to snowball into lethal counter jungling, lethal dives, set up yourself for the next dragon, set yourself up for the herald, essentially giving up the first dragon for a sweet objective ping pong, starting with the grubs. Of course, if you want to start with the dragon, you can. She's a great skirmisher. I just really see high value in lethal second and third rotation counter jungling so that you can be a level or 2 higher by the time the grubs become in contention. Don't worry, I will make a video on how you must jungle in this new season to cover all of this, but I'm just saying, Lilia farms well, skirmishes well, fights well, objectives well, and can slingshot leads very well, so she is a good jungler. In fact, one of the best. Next up we have Talon, who is also one of the best. I know some people, again, putting him down a little bit on their tier lists, but I do not agree. This champion is outrageous, and I've spoken to a few other people who have coached and are in high yellow grandmaster range, as well as some challenger guys, and they basically say, yeah, I don't want to see that champion against me. It's the worst kept secret in League of Legends that this champion is hard to play in, not good in the jungle. If I can cover a video at the start of 2021 talking about a Talon jungler getting to 900 LP, and back then that was insanely high, and top rated challenger, and that was before all of the buffs that brought Talon into, the jungle meta, then basically he's just gonna always be good. And he is that way now. Remember as well, less objectives to fight over means more counter jungling, more counter ganks, and more ganking, and more sitting in your bush and just killing you. This is good for all of the junglers here. All of the junglers on this list enjoy having more downtime between objectives, between sequences, so they can use their mobility, their damage, and their snowball to affect lanes and suppress enemy junglers, not forcing to worry about, weird grubs and other things like that. All of this applies to Jarvan as well, because he's very happy to sequence with his new passive from last year and, chill for ganks. play around 6, but he can of course solo those dragons early and really set up high lane prio for the first grubs. He's not going to be like your Lilias where you can afford to chill a little bit more. He wants to get on the map. He wants to push the issue. He wants to control all objectives and close by 22. I mean, if he doesn't, then that's fine because he's Jove and he's always going to be useful to your team later on. The ultimate, the build. But that is where his strength is in just controlling the tempo here. And of course, when a jungler could normally trade grubs for like a dragon, especially second grubs, Java now basically knows if he controls that dragon take and he's gotten the grubs already and he's gotten the first dragon, what's the enemy jungler doing? If they aren't able to take Jarvan's camps, well, nothing. They have to force contest, they have to chill. Jarvan controls all. And Kha'Zix will operate in the same capacity as your Talons. He's okay going for some profane tech and farming it up as well, but again, more downtime means more time to invade junglers. More time to look for good lane plays, to sit in lane bushes for counter ganks when your tracking is good. To really focus on, hey, I don't have to overtly force grubs, which he hated taking anyway, and can just play a much more patient, fluid game, which assassins like to do in the jungle. It is a misconception that junglers that are assassins like to just run into junglers and fight and fight and fight. If you do that, stop. Think a bit more meaningfully about your pathing and act with intent in everything you do. And if you can contest at the right moment with your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spike, well, you're gonna have a good time, especially from level 11 to 16 as you finish up and snowball and close out. And yes, that Herald will help you do that, and so will the grubs, even if you only get mites in the third one. No stress, you might see people force and die, but your Kha'Zix, you just kill them. Graves is the one that rises, because he's been good in this meta. I've said the nature of the game, it really suits him lately. It really does suit the kit, but his win rate just goes up and down depending on matchups. That's because a lot of the forced fighting over the grubs, over the dragons, especially with higher AP junglers that have been in the meta, it can make his life a little bit more difficult. Now though, what he is the absolute king of is counter jungling everything that you make a mistake on. You show bottom lane and mistime your camps, he'll take them in and out, super smooth. He'll dive top lane, reset, control his next sequence. He will have that 3 quadra control, no stress and no issue. And that's where things become really tough for you against the Graves, because now he's gonna shove you out of your jungle and no one gets the objectives and he'll just take them when he can. This is especially important if you're a jungler that's going for those early first dragons. You will lose your top quadrant if you do that, because he's just going to steal it away from you. He will create that prio like Lilia can for the grubs at 8 minutes, and you won't be able to contest and match. That is the classic way of Graves jungling, and he was dominant, most dominant in those 2020 to 2023 kind of seasons where we had these 2 objectives, right? Herald 1, Herald 2. Graves thrives on downtime, and that's why his win rate is just super good right now. Xin Zhao is like a Jarvan. We don't need to talk too much about him. Keep that high tempo, look for those early gangs, aggressive clears, get into the face of the objectives, make sure you're controlling them. If people want to contest them, you kill them. Create the prio you want to see. Next up, we have Kayn, and the reason Kayn is here is, again, you can easily do grubs and sequence objectives okay, but he actually suffers a little bit on the dragon comparatively to the other junglers on this list. However, the mega juice, the toast, comes in how he matches up PvP-wise once he gets the form. Kayn is also a champion that doesn't mind foregoing and ignoring objectives. He really just wants those orbs, he wants to get in your face, he wants to start killing Sirakas. Had a wonderful coaching session with a lower MMR Kayn, and once we locked in the macro, the guy was 25 kills, 0 deaths, and just closing to end. And this was before we removed the second grub pit, so now imagine with that extra downtime that he can use his PvP advantage, he's gonna have a lot of fun. And the same thing applies all the way up to Master Plus, as you'll see on the video we just released this week. How can you play from behind and get those 25 kills even when you're not snowballing? Man, it is beautiful. Go watch it. Next up, we have Fiddlesticks, and while people are throwing tantrums about support Fiddlesticks, we're just here to talk about jungle Fiddlesticks. You know what? I love him. I think he's amazing. I think he's niche. I think he's OTP. I think people are going to try and pick it up thinking it's easy. They're going to fall flat on their face. They don't know that his effigy stops a Nunu snowball. They don't know that the effigy stops Kha'Zix isolation. And they don't know how to get the angles of approach for the maximum ultimate suck. And while he won't necessarily enjoy the lesser grouping for objectives because there's less objectives, that just allows him to sit in the bush and ult an ADC a few more times, and you should be doing that anyway. Good champion. Now yeah, I moved Nocturne down just a little bit because even though he is S tier worthy, when you lock him in, do you feel that same fear, pun not intended for his paranoia, as when you see all the other junglers? I personally do not, even though he does counter my champions. I'm still like, hey, I can match up against this. I know kind of what he's going to do, but most importantly, his ult will come, and now that there's not going to be a 6-minute grub pit. There's only a 5-minute dragon. He's going to be forced to use that as soon as possible. Track, deep ward, expect, and counter gank, and you can really remove him from the game and not have to worry about, oh no, he didn't go there, he's doing grubs, because there ain't no grubs. Likewise for Hecarim, basically the same thing in terms of execution. I really love this champion for solo queuing. I think he can do absolutely amazing things in this current meta, and the lesser grubs, again, no concern for him. More dives, more ults, more wins, and still with the same amount of build variation. Next up, we have Vi. She's here really just a byproduct of having the ultimate, of having the insane cooldown for lockdown, of having percentage damage, a shield. A lot of these champions, as I said, they just thrive on having downtime between objectives and using it to maximize ganks and fistings against enemy junglers, and of course, you know, she does that pretty well. Viego is one that can suffer greatly from bad pathing and bad mechanics. He is still that way, but he does have more accessibility in this current meta because you're always looking for those resets. However, with less objective fights, there's less opportunity for those resets because there's less grouped fights. This means you do have to be a bit more on it for your ganking, your tower diving, and your counter ganking, but that just simply rewards good Viegos who now don't have to worry too much about losing the objective game in negative game states against stronger junglers. It's really just about how you want to path effectively and using his PvP goals to win games. And let's be honest, when you're Viego, do you play him to lock down many grubs and heralds and dragons? Or do you play him to basically just spread dead mist on ADCs and make them have a miserable time? Volleybaba's an interesting one because we love to play the 7 to 8, 9 CS per minute Volibear on this channel. That's the way I've always played him. I'm not as aggressive, shall we say. I never have been after playing the champion for 15 years with your ganks as I used to be pre-rework. Nowadays, you have much more balance in terms of how you want to sequence, dive, gank, and do objectives. The main thing for him is, in this downtime, especially earlier on, you are much more powerful than almost any other jungler. Please get in their face. No grubs, get in their face in second buff spawn. Dive bottom lane. You know, cut in such a way that you can do the dragon and have your camps up behind you so you can't even be counter jungled. Get 6, counter jungle the other guy, counter gank the other guy, and then fist the grubs in your face, dive top lane. You see where I'm going with this? It's a high energy sequencing, intelligent pathing combination that makes him truly special. Now, I put Echo on already last patch in my private tier list that I released through email. I basically said, hey, I like what I'm seeing from Echo. I played it, I faced it, I spoke to some people, and they said, you know what, secretly, he's doing work. Yeah, his damage is obviously insane, but now with less grubs to focus on, what is he the king of? And I've said this for a long time, the king of counter ganking. That W buff in Season 9 to make it 2.25 seconds is outrageous because you're not gonna lose anything. You can truly invest in tracking, predicting, and snacking that enemy jungler has. You don't have to worry about grub sushi. But now once you have done all those things, no one can fight you at grub sushi at 8 minutes. No one can really fight you at 11, 12, 15 minutes if you're snowballing correctly. And even if you're not, your farming is decent enough that you will scale and you will always become a one-shot menace. And speaking of one-shot menaces, if you do that on Nunu, you are incorrect. It's not the way to play, because guess what? Anyone you can see you and kill you. Next patch though, Liandry's is going to be getting nerfed perhaps, and even now, Rocket Belt might be looking a little bit like a resurgence item back from the Mythic days. Use that into tank if you like. Seriously, it is so outrageously imbalanced to go one AP item into full tank, you should easily be able to get to GM Challenger just by playing consistently and consistently well. And now you're like, but Nunu has bite, he has good objective control, the objectives are less. Yeah, but he also runs down the river and ganks lanes without any consideration for human life. Do that. And now we jump to the low reload page, and you'll see Warwick is up there, Mumu's up there, usual stuff. Briar's feet are up there, they stink a little bit, but they're pretty strong. Don't try and use it above Diamond unless you hate yourself or just love Briar that much. I still personally am a Yorick enjoyer and a Ghoul enjoyer, but they keep seemingly wanting to nerf this champion out of the jungle, and it doesn't seem like they've been very successful with this rework because we're back to where he's OP and low elo jungling, less effective in general MMR, but I think you can still play him, I think he's still gonna be good. It's just, can we do the same thing to Nefiri, please, so the rest of us can, ban something else? Although if you ban Graves or Talon, that's also respectable. Please, those 3 champions I don't think anyone wants to see right now. Kayn is great on low MMR as well as Viego. I don't like putting Viego here, but just Diana looks so trash right now, and even though there are other choices that could work, I think it can teach you a lot about using your mechanics to climb while you bring your jungle knowledge up at the same time. Whereas with a Mumu, you use your jungle knowledge to climb and you don't worry about your mechanics, you get to gold, and both of those things allow you to get to diamond. It's just about which one you want to focus on more than the other. For high MMR, I don't think any surprises in this one, except I removed Lee Sin because who last saw Lee Sin and said, hey, yeah, that's scary, oh my. I just said, oh, Lee Sin, free food. For sure, there are great Lee Sin players who can make him work, you can OTP him at any rank, but it's just a skillful champion that if you're gonna play him, you might as well play Xin Zhao, you might as well play Jarvan and just have way better success, less stress, and, you get to face roll. And you can't leave out Hecarim because he's great here, Graves is great here, Lilia's great here, Vi's doing better here than in general population, and obviously Viego and Afiri dominate the play rates and the win rates in the higher elo MMR range. Of course, you're still going to see the Zed junglers. I don't know why anyone is actually, playing that. Oh, I clear fast. So, you gotta be able to use your damage. You gotta be able to use that clear speed for something good. And, there's better junglers to do that. And as I've said before, clearing slower can have insane benefits in terms of tempo patience, where you can kind of understand what people are actually going to be doing before you make a decision, and that's how you counter them with maximum precision. To understand what that means and how to apply properly, click the video on your screen now.